God, please, no! 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 No!
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the on-track video for the Centurion Action 10 line, and today we're going to go through all of the tanks that lead up to Centurion Action 10 from tier 5 onwards with ace tanker gameplay. So we'll start off with this tank, the Crusader, then the Cromwell, then the Comet, the Centurion 1, the Centurion 7-1, and the Centurion Action 10 to finish off the line. Now, in terms of the whole British medium tank line, it's a very, very good line to go down. It's a very enjoyable line to go down. There's not really many that are actually that bad to play, or most of them are quite enjoyable, to be perfectly honest. And it's the same for the FV4202 because it's the exact same line, it's just that the FV4202 is a different tank. So the Crusader. This is one that used to be a light tank, but it was a weird one because it was a light tank without the light tank matchmaking, and it also didn't have, I believe it didn't have the light tank camo bonuses either. It was a weird one, but it wasn't the best of light tanks, and that's purely because it's very slow, and it really is not the fastest of tanks in the universe. It's got a very, very fast firing gun, as you're seeing right here, but in terms of its speed, it only goes up to 45 kilometers an hour, which is very slow. It is a pretty stealthy tank though. It is very good with its camo. So in terms of the crew loadout for this, I run Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Track Mechanic, Situational Awareness, Camo Expertise, I think this is what it is, Muffled Shot, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, and Snapshot. Now I don't run firefighting on this because the lower tier ones especially, you tend to get set on fire, you're going to die no matter what. So I just tend to make everything else better to try and help not getting shot. So I make the gun accuracy, the gun handling better, because the gun handling on this tank can be very troll, and it is pretty annoying. And you also don't get that many rounds, so you want to try not to be missing as many rounds as I am right now in this position. But yeah, the Crusader can be quite a good tank generally. It's basically a British version of the T-34, but it's not as quick and it doesn't have the armour, but it's more stealthy. So that's why I run the muffled shot and the camouflage expertise as well, to try and buff the camo rating of this tank. And in terms of equipment on this tank, I do run vents, camo net, and optics. Now you might be going, well, why aren't you running a rammer to make the DPM better? And it's like, well, because the DPM is already really good, right? But the problem with this tank is the gun fires a lot quicker than it aims already without the rammer. So it means that it misses quite a lot, because quite a lot of shots aren't aimed before you're firing again. So because of that, I actually just drop the rammer, because it's more counterproductive to me with my firing in this tank by running a rammer and aiming less and keep on firing constantly. But it's basically just counterproductive to fire quicker, because it's like, well, I'm just going to keep missing more and more. That extra little bit of time in the reload actually gives me more time to aim, so that's why I do it. And I buff the camo on the tank, like I say, because the camo is very good. And yeah, the tank is quite enjoyable. You've got to keep moving, you've got to keep yourself sort of hidden using the camouflage and stuff. You've got to play it quite clever. It's got good standard pen at 110 and good APCR, very, very good APCR pen in fact at 180, which means that even at tier 7 you have the pen to deal with pretty much everything in the line, and that is a really nice thing about the tank. Now the crew setup that I have on this tank is what I ran for also the Comet and the Cromwell, because they are both more sneaky tanks. But I mean, the early line is definitely a more run and gun type of medium tank line than the rest of the line. But anyway, in this replay on Kaunas in the Crusader, we've had a good run around, and now we're trying to mop up what is the last of the enemy team. This is Su-85 in front of us. The artillery has got a right hard on for us. Unfortunately, he's trying his best to get us. He's not quite been successful yet, and we're just trying to put some shots into this Churchill 7, and unfortunately we can't quite get that. But then this Su-85 is back out in front of us again. It's like, right, well, we'll try and shut him down, but he gets back behind that cover, which means we're not going to be able to shut him down. We're trying to get some shots at this IKV, and that is one thing that you're seeing there, is that we actually missed the first shot, and that's because it wasn't fully aimed straight away, and that's because, like I say, it does aim a lot slower than you actually reload. But that's one thing that is better about this tank, because pre 6.0 this tank was enjoyable, but at the same time it could be a right pain in the backside because of how derpy the gun is. But now obviously with the crew skills and stuff you can get into it, it makes it not that bad, because you can hit shots like that quite easily and you can shut people down like that. And it means you just do hit a lot more shots than you used to. There is one thing with this tank, and you will run out of ammo quite a lot if you keep yourself in position to keep firing. Now this guy's been after us all game, and we were trying to keep popping shots into him and trying to keep ourselves below the ridgeline, but he still managed to shut us down anyway because artillery. But that was a nice game for the Crusader anyway. We come top, and it was a fun one to run around in. And like I say, the tank is a fun tank. We get 4 kills, 1500 damage, ace tanker, Confederate. And yeah, this line is definitely worth going up. It's definitely worth doing because it is a lot of fun. There's a lot worse lines in the game, and this is definitely a very nice one to do. And that's because these early tanks like the Crusader, the Cromwell that we're just about to see now, the Comet, they're quite nice tanks to play early on. They're good run and gun mediums, the type of mediums that you can't be over committal when you're running around, because you're not the hardest to hit. You're not like a Vanguard or a runabout light tank. You will get hit quite easily, and you will get penned because you have absolutely no armour. But you've got the mobility to flank, you've got good DPM, gun handling's a bit tragic at times on this Cromwell and same on the Crusader, but it all gets better with the Comet for the lack of less speed. So in the Cromwell here, we're on Pilsen, which obviously is not the best map in the universe for a Cromwell. But we're going to come to this position here because this is a good position to catch out anyone that pushes along this line here where we're aiming. So here's our first customer, and it's the KV-1S. He gets shot and trapped by us, and then this Fury decides to YOLO across. And we're like, okay, we can't let this guy get down towards the building at K8, so we've got to shut him down. We get a nice track shot in him and shut him down. Well, we don't shut him down, Chopper shuts him down. We are platooned up with Chopper for these first 3 replays, who helped us along massively in the, say grind, it wasn't really a grind, in this session to try and get the gameplay for these tanks. Now I was going to do the Cromwell first, because somebody asked for it in the last time we did an on-track session. I was going to do the Cromwell line first, but I hadn't actually been able to play them at, well, I say that. Some of the ones that were in the Cromwell line I hadn't actually got equipped, and the previous silver situation meant that I couldn't afford to equip them. So I have been getting gameplay for some of them, so I've got like 3 out of the 6 so far, but the others are the ones that I've still got to pay to equip. But now I do have the silver, and I will start to play them, and hopefully that'll be the next on-track series we see. But this one, they announced which the tank was on track, and I knew that I had the whole British line equipped and ready, and it had a crew that could go into these. So like the crew that was in the Comet actually went back, or it was actually, no, it was the crew that was in the Cromwell, then I just shifted it into the Comet, played a couple of games and shifted it into the Crusader, etc, etc. And I knew I could do it. Now with this Cromwell, I know what you're all thinking. Wait a minute, you've been talking about this Cromwell and what you're doing with trying to catch people out all the time. But you've not mentioned the biggest thing about this Cromwell. Where's the derp gun? What are you doing, man? We want derp. Well, what I want to do with these on-track series is show you the tank with probably the best operational gun. Now, for some tanks, the derp gun, for me personally, is definitely the most usable gun. It's, you know, it's the gun that you want to be using on the tank. It's the best one for the tank and the best way to play it. So say like the Panzer IV-H with a derp gun. I feel like that derp gun is very, very useful, just like the 75. And I actually feel like for me the performance in the derp gun is actually better for you overall using that gun, because when you're bottom tier it's more helpful. But with the Cromwell, this gun is definitely the most competitive gun. The derp gun is a hell of a load of fun, but it takes a lot of skill to use, and it's very unwieldy. So yeah, really, this is the one that you actually want to use to be competitive and when you're grinding through the line. So that's the one I want to show. But the derp gun is definitely more fun. So this game, the enemy team is now finally folded. We did our best in the middle to try and break their camp, which we actually did. We put some nice shots in. We're trying to finish off this VK1 3001p. I keep saying that this week. I keep saying 101p, and it's like, no, it's the 3001p. We're not at tier 8. Unfortunately, we didn't get the killing shot on that 3001p, and we're now going after the final medium tank that is over here and burning. And I'm thinking, will I get an extra shot? And we luckily get a shot straight in, track him. We actually didn't pen him. We only tracked him, but we got some of the assistance on him, and we finished another lovely game for the Cromwell. And we actually got a top gun, and I didn't realise I had a top gun until Chopper pointed it out, and I was like, really? Oh, and then I think, you know, if I got that final shot on the ELC or the VK3001p and the Skoda, I would have actually had the Radleys there. But hey, we finished an ace tanker, brothers in arms, top gun. You know, a fantastic game for the Cromwell. We came top, and the Cromwell is a hell of a lot of fun. It is, if you platoon it, three-man platoons of those things. I mean, obviously there used to be 5-mans, but 5-mans were, while it was good to be able to platoon with friends that many, for the balancing of the game and for the matchmaking, geez, the matchmaking was always terrible when you're in them. They were an absolute menace anyway, the Cromwell, in those sorts of platoons, and it is in that sort of platoon. The Cromwell can be an absolute menace because it's rapid, it's got good DPM, and if you swarm someone in them, oh my goodness me, you just wreck their day so quickly, and it is a lot of fun. But now we're on to the Comet, and I didn't mention the Cromwell setup, by the way, for the equipment, and it's the same as the Comet. It's pretty much the same as what I use for the whole line now, whereas it used to be different, and that is I use rammer, vents and optics. Rammer because you want to push the DPM as much as possible. Unlike the Crusader, which has fantastic DPM without it, and actually it does you do yourself in by using the rammer because of, obviously, like I was saying earlier on, aim time better than, worse than reload even. These tanks you want to increase your DPM as much as possible, so the rammer and the vents help that. Then the vents and the optics help to boost your view range, and well, generally the vents boost everything. And in terms of crew skills, like I say, the Comet, the Cromwell and the Crusader had the same crew, and I probably would recommend the same skills for those set of tanks, unless you want to possibly drop something like Snapshot to make it a little bit better in terms of its camo, and say put Green Thumb on instead, you know, be a bit more stealthy. Because with the Cromwell, previous Cromwell, you can play it like a pseudo scout. You can run to aggressive positions, get spots out, get a good amount of assisted, and that's the way I did it to 3 market when I had the derp gun. Yes, I did quite a lot of damage with the derp gun, but at the same time I also did a lot of spotting. And the Comet's another one that's the same. I mean, it doesn't quite have the speed of the Cromwell, but you can get to aggressive positions very easily and spot out, and you have got good camo, so you can stay behind bushes and concealment and be very hard to spot. But to add to that, you also have a very good gun. You've got good accuracy, decent aim time, very good DPM. The only downside to this gun for me is the shell velocity, and possibly the alpha damage, but mainly the shell velocity. And that's because the shell velocity is slow, and you do have 0.34 accuracy, right? Which is good. But over range, it definitely feels worse, and that is because of the shell velocity. So it's a lot harder to hit targets over the range. Now, one of the good things about the Comet is something that the Cromwell doesn't have, and that's the Cromwell has 8 degrees of gun depression, which is nice. That's not bad. I'm not saying that's bad. That's good, right? But the Comet, we're not a Comet. We haven't got the derp gun. I'll get there eventually. The Comet. There we go. We said it right. We got there, everybody. Round of applause. The Comet has 12 degrees of gun depression. And that is amazing for ridge lines. Absolutely incredible. That means you barely expose yourself ever poking ridge lines. And ridge lines is the home of the Comet. It's where you want to be. And as you can see right here, we are using these ridge lines to as good effect as we can. We're putting shots in downrange. We've hemmed the enemy team into their campy area. And we're just pummeling shots in where we can. There's this WZ131 GFT sat in the open. He dies to my team. And then there's that IKV on the right. Now I want to push up because I know they're all down in that corner, but I have my mind on that IKV sat there. So I'm always watching for him, waiting for the moment I can shoot him. I auto-aim on, and it's time now to just pop some shots on the move. And just like that, with perks like run and gun, it's a lot easier to hit shots like that on the move, and we finished the IKV off. And now we're moving up onto the Dragon and this King Dragon in front of us. So I'm going to pop over here to try and use my good gun depression to get shots into them. And then it's like, oh god, that's a Scorpion G. No. Nope. Now, funny story. The Cromwell, it's not a Cromwell, it's a Comet. The Comet used to have actually a kind of a bouncy turret when it was hull down. It did used to bounce a fair whack. Then it got a nerf to its turret at some point. And that meant that you basically don't bounce anything. That is one thing about the Cromwell Comet and the Crusader that differentiate them from the others in the line, is that's the fact that when you're hull down, you're not going to be bouncing anything. You have no armour. So we're trying to pop more shots at these guys. This Scorpion unfortunately pokes out, and we don't actually get to pen him with any of those shots. The shots unfortunately missed. We get a nice shot into the hammer without taking a shot in return, and we're up to a good slab of damage at the minute in the Comet. And we're now alone. And this is a worry. I'm worried that something's going to come up behind me. And I'm thinking it's maybe that King Dragon. Now this Dragon's drove out in front of us, and we've pummeled him with a few shots. And now we're trying to get some shots into the hammer. And like I say, I was worried of that King Dragon getting in behind us, and he did. He got a shot into us. And unfortunately, as I'm rounding this Scorpion to keep away from his gun, we ended up blocking our friend's shot, and our friend died, which is a sad moment. I'm so sorry, dude. But we were trying to avoid the King Dragon and avoid the gun of the Scorpion by keeping below it. But now there's just this King Dragon left. And he's there, and it's like, oh, I mean, he could kill me if he high rolls, right? But he's got a high roll. I know I can take one shot from him, and it'd take me at least 3 shots to kill him. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to grab my balls. I'm going to go for him. And fortunately enough for me, I actually bounce his shot, and then donk one shot in there, but then finally finish him off. So we got fortunate there. We actually bounced that King Dragon. I think he must have hit my tracks as I was coming over the ridgeline, and we managed to just out DPM him, because the King Dragon is great, but it has a very slow reload. So we finished that game, coming top. We end up with 3 kills, 4.3k damage, 862 assisted, ace tanker, high caliber, Confederate, and it's a great game for the Comet. And the Comet is an absolutely fantastic tank. It is still a hell of a lot of fun even now. And if you've already ground through the Comet, I do recommend getting the Banshee, because the Banshee is just a Comet with some slightly better stats. I think it's better resistances and stuff like that. So now we're on to the Centurion part of the tech tree. And that's because we start off at the Centurion 1. And this is where the gameplay differentiates itself a little bit from the earlier tanks in the line. And that's because we go from the run and gun mediums of the Crusader, Cromwell and Comet, that use their ability to run around, out DPM things by slapping shot after shot into people, to more considered approach. And that's because these Centurions aren't the quickest. They get up to about 50 kilometers an hour. But like you see with the Centurion, it does struggle up to about 40, 45. It does do 50 on a flat, but when you're on an incline, it does struggle a little bit. But you now have a 20-pounder gun, and you now have 230 alpha instead of 150. You have really good pen with 223 and 250 something on the premium, and you have very good accuracy at 0.33. 2.3 aim time's a bit meh, but you know, you get over that. But one of the good strengths of the Centurion line is the turrets. The turrets of the Centurions are absolutely fantastic. The Cent 7-1 and the Centurion 1 have infallible turrets for the most part, unless you're facing something like a 268 V5 that's got like a 300mm pen. But for the most part, the turrets are incredible. The Centurion Action 10, as you'll see, not quite that great with its turret. Doesn't quite fit the tin 8 and 9 in terms of its performance with its turret, but that gun is beautiful. But anyway, we're on the Centurion 1. And in terms of the crew skills now, this is where things have changed. Because I've basically dropped the muffled shot and I've gone for firefighting. Because at this point we're big medium tanks. Our camo isn't great. So I'm relying now on the fact that we've got all the gun perks. We've still got camouflage expertise to try and make it just that little bit better. But the Centurions have an issue in the fact that the back end gets shot, they get set on fire. And it does happen quite often because the back end is the engines and the fuel tanks. It's both. So if you get shot from the mid to back, you will just get set on fire, and that's not what you want at all. So firefighting, if you do get set on fire, it helps to put it out quicker. Like I say, it's always up to you for firefighting or fire prevention, because obviously fire prevention helps you to not get set on fire 33% less. Whereas firefighting then puts out, if you get set on fire, puts it out 10% quicker. And for me, I'd rather have the skill that helps put it out quicker than leave it down to RNG to still see if I'm going to get set on fire. It's just the way that I prefer to run, but obviously everyone prefers different things. It's all opinions. So on Fisherman's Bay, we push the aggressive position that I always take, right? I always take this position. I always like that position to take because you can catch everyone out crossing, you can get good shots into them, and like they didn't really push the town, so we got those people caught out and we got some good shots in. We've been sat hull down, and we have been getting some great shots into people, and we've been spotting up as well. We've got 2k. We have a glut of tanks coming out the town, and now is the time, and that was a great shot on them, but that was great RNG. Thank you, RNG. But now's the time to move forward. All these guys in front of me are going to need people to shoot, right? So if there's anyone sat on their sniper hill at like K2, somewhere like that, I2, J2, whatever it is, then I will spot them get into this position, and I can stay hull down. So here we spot the Diamondback, and we've got this Sentry in front of us as well. And I'm just going to keep trying to find shots onto him. So unfortunately we missed that shot, but we weren't very well aimed. But like I said, we're spotting this Sentry look, and we've got all these guys behind us that are starting to shoot them and get spotting for us. So we're pushing that spotting up. And these ridge lines here are great for the Centurion. We're nice and hull down. They're not really going to pen us in this position. And we finally collect a shot into that Diamondback. And I am looking down there because these guys over here as well, where this Valor is, we may be able to shoot them, right? But they can shoot us. So it's a little bit questionable for being here. I know the artillery's in that corner, but he's about to die. And I'm thinking, you know what, I can't stay here. I need to push up again to try and get in these guys' faces and hopefully get more spotting off of them. We get a nice shot, luckily, into that Diamondback's lower plate. He shoots us, but we instantly repair that to get below his gun, because Diamondback's going to perma-track us, and we don't want that. He gets absolutely blapped by artillery and dies. And now we've just got the shots into this Sentry, and we're like, okay, let's shut this guy down. We don't unfortunately get the kill shot into him, but now there's only 2 tanks. There's this Tiger 2 over here, and there's a Valor that are also with him. And we've got shots from this position into those guys that are in that side, so we're just going to keep firing away and using the good rate of, well, the decent rate of fire this tank has. Now actually, this is joint worst Centurion for its DPM. And that's with the Huntsman. The Huntsman, premium tank, is this tank without side skirts and actually slower. So the Huntsman is the worst Centurion premium variant, or the worst Centurion variant, and then it's the Centurion 1. Then for me, it's the Atomic, if we're talking British Centurions, that is. Then it's the Atomic, and then it's the Bellerophons. The Bellerophons top, then the Atomic, then this tank, then the Huntsman. The Earthshaker's a different animal. I'd probably put the Prima Victoria in the same level as the Atomic, if you're talking the SDRV-81 as well. So we finished that game anyway. We had a nice game. Finished Ace Tanker, Confederate. Loaded nice chunk of damage in, nearly 4k, nearly 3k assistant. It was a very nice game for Centurion for using those positions. But yeah, anyway, the Centurion is probably the second worst variant. And that's purely because its rate of fire is worse. But it's a hard one, really, because it does have better mobility than some stuff like the Prima Victoria. But the Atomic, say, for instance, has better... It has worse view range, worse accuracy, but way better DPM. Way better. And its mobility is also the same. The Cent 5-1 for me is the best Centurion Premium, because it's got the best armour out of all of them. It's got the same accuracy and aim time as the standard Centurion. It's also got the better DPM as well. Not as good as the Atomic, but just everything else combined into that Centurion 5-1 is what makes it better. But anyway, that's the Centurion 1. Now we're on to the Tier 9. We're on to the Centurion 7-1. Now, you've got the Centurion 1. Then you move up to the 7-1, and you're like, this tank looks similar. The turret looks the same. The hull looks the same. And that's because it is. But you get this British L7 105, and my goodness me, this gun is beautiful. It used to be pretty troll, not gonna lie. It was one of those guns that was incredibly annoying, incredibly accurate, but at the same time just missed shots anyway. So you would fully aim shots and then they just hit the floor. And you'd sit there going, oh, but I've got .31 accuracy. How did that happen? Well, not anymore. Now, with the gun stat changes and stuff like that, it doesn't do it all that often. And that is what is so lovely about this tank. The fact that this gun is fantastic. You also get Hesh, which Hesh is memes. And we've loaded that Hesh now. But if you've seen where we are now, we are actually in a pretty bad situation. By the way, that RNG for that Hesh shelter hit the lower plate of that guy. That was beautiful. That was delightful. But anyway, yeah, you see the situation we're in there. Look at the different spawns on Fisherman's Bay. This is the alternate spawns compared to what we had in the last game. And that means that they get the town. They get the town without a question very easily. And I went to the position down there to try and catch people crossing into the town for them. But it was an incredibly dangerous position. And instantly we've got to get out. Because they are all up in that town. They've gotten round it. And yeah, we're quite out in the open. We don't want to be here. So what we're doing is getting down here below the ridge lines to try and stay away. And it was always a risky option to do what I did. And we're pretty lucky to only get out there with half of our health gone. So now we're back behind the safety of these ridge lines. We are looking for more shots at these guys down there. We know where they are. So I decide, you know what? We've got a lot of TDs. I need to be the one that spots. We've got no light tanks. I need to get down here and use where I know these ridge lines are here to spot out. So we're now hull down. And I can spot these guys that are coming out of the town. We get a nice shot into that Eradicator. We're still loading Hesh though, so unfortunately I only did track damage, I think. And again, we've still got Hesh in. And we're looking for the lower plate shot on that VK. We don't pen him. And we've run out of Hesh, so we're back to the APCR, which is probably actually going to do us far better than the Hesh ever was. But we're hull down, so I'm pretty confident in keeping bouncing things. So this is what is amazing about this tank. Get hull down and just laugh at people and use this incredibly accurate gun. As you see, we're picking slim shots at people like that VK4502A there. And he's trying to move across. So I'm like, I don't want him to get across, so I over-peak there and end up getting tracked by something down there, but he's gone. I didn't want him on my flank, and that's why I over-peaked to try and get a shot in. And by doing that, we actually gave ourselves to the, I think it was either the Stockade or the U50 that's down there. But now we are in the bushes and we are spotting. I'm trying to pop a shot at this 257. Unfortunately, it don't go in. But again, look, we're spotting. So we are farming this assisted damage, and that's amazing. And we're just keeping ourselves hull down, waiting to get unspotted, trying to spot, and that's what we're doing. Now, in terms of the equipment on the Centurion 1, and it'll be the same for the Centax as well, we run Fence, Rammer, and Optics. Same as I explained earlier on for the Cromwell and the Comet. Pre 6.0, I would have said you'd be running vert stabs. Okay, you would have been buffing the gun performance as much as possible. But with the advent of the new crew skills and stuff like that, run optics and vents to try and buff your view range and the DPM and stuff like that of this tank as much as possible, because the DPM of the tank is a drawback because it's very slow reload. But look at that gun handling, filthy. And this is without the vert stabs. You don't really need the vert stabs anymore, because you've already got 0.32, I think it's 0.32 accuracy on this gun anyway. With the crew skills, you can get it down to about 0.25, 0.24. And there's such a thing as oversaturation, or over-maxing your gun. Because 0.24 accuracy, you're gonna feel the fact that this gun will pretty much never miss anyway. So what's the point in making that really good, and then losing out on making other stuff, or other stats way better? You may as well make the other stats way better and still have a fantastic gun. That's just the way it is. So right now I've decided it's time to change up my positioning, because this Leopard PTA needs to get shot. He's in the middle, there's an IS down here, and I want to get rid of these guys. And I am second thought in it here, thinking, do I just run back behind my ridge? And I'm thinking, I could run back behind this ridge line and stay safe and wait for them to advance on me. But we need shots into these guys. Now, unfortunately, that guy is actually behind a building, so we can't quite get the shot on him. But we need to be able to get shots on these guys, and he's staying in a position where I can't quite get him. And I'm getting a little bit frustrated with the fact that I can't quite shoot him. He's staying behind this ridge line. I've not got shots at him quite easily from here. So I'm thinking, right, now I might need to go and dig out this IS And by digging out this IS down here, I can get better shots up at the Leopard PTA from these ridgelines down here. And he's not going to be expecting me to be here either. So that's what the best thing we can do. This IS will catch unawares. We managed to snap a shot into him. And now we use this ridgeline that we know is here to get hull down on him. And I'm thinking, right, now I'm hull down, I'll be able to bounce him, shoot him, you know, shut him down. But actually, I get lucky. I say get lucky. It's good teamwork that thankfully the artillery shuts him down. And also, it's good that I'm not being focused by their artillery at this point, because obviously I am out in the open. But look at the shots we have here. We have some great shots at that Tiger 2, but look, this bog horror is threatening our guy. So I need to help our TD, because he is what's spotting the stuff over there. And unfortunately, I didn't pen it, but I did track it. So our T2, I think it's a T28, managed to shut him down. We have slim to nothing shots at that Tiger 2, and look at the beautiful accuracy of this gun. It's beautiful. And we managed to pen that Tiger 2, but now we know where the PTA is, right? The PTA is over there. He's actually behind where our T28 is. So I need to get over there to help our T28 and the artillery. But fortunately enough, this Tiger 2 gets spotted up, and we managed to shut him down. And now we're heading over to help this T28 out against this Leopard PTA. And it's all about keeping teammates in the game. Our artillery is lucky that it doesn't die to their arty, but he is probably dead. I have enough health to take a hit from this Leopard. I'm not quite sure yet, because I haven't seen me look over yet at the T28. I think I probably did there, I've just missed it. But I don't know what health he's on. But I know I'm in myself, I can take a hit from him. So we're going to go over and we're going to try and finish off this guy. We're going to help this T28 out, because obviously we want to keep our guy alive. We get a nice shot on the move into the Leopard PTA. Obviously it's a bit risky to do something like that, but we do get it in. And now we aim up the final shot and we shut him down. And now I'm thinking, please artillery. Please. Please leave me alone. Don't do it. So we're staying behind this ridgeline, and like I said, we're trying to make it as hard as possible. Unfortunately enough for me, he hits the windmill over there. But now we know the direction he's in. He's not moved into the corner at like A1, A2. He's not anywhere like that. He is near their base. So it's like, well, that's good. I know exactly where he is now, so we're just going to plough over there. And I kind of don't want to do it alone, because obviously it's an M53-55. If I get there and get to him, I can't shut him down in one shot. Number one, he's got 450 hit points. I have to high roll to kill him. And number two, if he does catch me, he will kill me in one shot. But fortunately enough, he's actually not sitting in his base. He's coming to brawl, which is kind of helpful for us. And I see where he is. He's hiding behind this building. I get unspotted, so now it's changing up the angle to make it look like I wasn't going the other way. And it actually catches me out, because I didn't realise the building ended there. And I'm like, oh god, nope, 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 nope. Staying behind this building. And I don't want to poke out and shoot it. I've got this building obviously in front of me, which is keeping the building between us. But I don't quite want to poke out and shoot it yet, because I'm waiting for the TD to catch up. Because obviously the M355 is a fast artillery. It's a very, very fast arty piece. And it will outrun our T28 all the time. But now that the T28 has got a shot onto him, and then the M355 fired, we can poke round and kill it. And that was a great game for the Centurion 7-1. It showed every strength of this tank in keeping yourself below ridge lines and bouncing stuff and just out-spotting tanks. So we finished 5 kills, 6.4k damage, ace tanker, high caliber, and we'll see the assistance in a second. We'll get scoreboard. Nearly 5k assistance. That was nearly 11k combined. 2.4, 2.5k base. Beautiful game for the tank, and beautiful game for what is a beautiful tank. The Centurion 7-1 is a fantastic tank, and it's one of the gems of the line, just like the Comet, just like the Cromwell. The Centurion 1 is a good tank, but is it one that you should be excited to play? For the ability to be hull down, probably, but generally it's not that sort of, yes, the Centurion 1, come on, let's go, you know? Unlike, say, the Cromwell or the Comet, which have really good things that make them really quite fun to play, Centurion 1's a little bit sort of, it's nice every now and then, but for the most part it's not the most fun to play. The Cent 7-1 is glorious because of how pinpoint that gun is. 390 alpha, the ability to stay hull down and laugh. Hesh, because Hesh is love, Hesh is life, just like Derp. And it leads to the Cent Axe. Now the Cent Axe is one of my old favourites. It's just like the M48 pattern. It's a tank that I don't play all that often anymore, but I always loved it. It was the old reliable. This gun is incredible. Always has been for me. It just behaves like no other. Now, it's got a 268 APCR pen, just like the Centurion 7.1, but instead of the HESH, like the FV4202 gets, it gets 330 heat pen, or 340, one of the two. It's very, very good heat pen. And the mobility is better on the Centax as well than a standard Centurion. It goes a little bit quicker, which is nice. But the gun is absolutely sexy. It's delightful. Now, one thing that is worse on the Centurion 7.1 compared to the Centurions before it is the turret. The turret's a little bit more pennable by tanks, especially on flat. When you're using your gun depression, the tank can be good hull down, right? Can be very good hull down. But it can still get penned quite easily by a lot of tanks. And that's a problem, as well as the hull armour being complete crap. You will have to bear with that. The hull armour is pretty poo-poo. But, yeah, it's still a tank that you want to be getting to a ridgeline, getting hull down and laughing. Now, we got some nice shots into that 430U and set him on fire, but look how quickly as well. The DPM is another thing. The DPM is nothing that boosts up from the Centurion 7.1, and it is delightful. You see how fast... What, we're 2 minutes into the game, we're already up to 3.2k damage. And we've just got another kill, and we're up to 3.5k. And it does rack up the damage really quickly. Now, there's this T30 over here, and I'm wanting to get rid of the guy in the middle now on this cliff game. Because obviously he's dangerous. He just misses us. We get a nice shot into his tracks on the move. And we're just going to try and out-DPM this guy. Get another shot into his upper plate. He's now a one-shot for us. And I don't want to take a big clap from this guy. Because obviously he will hurt us quite badly. And fortunately enough for us, he shot at someone else when we finish him off. So I kind of want to go through to the middle, but there is an E4 here, which is dangerous. And I'm looking at this game and going, there's quite a lot left. I'm already up to 5k damage. This could be a nice game. And I want to push the tempo, get more damage, and push ourselves up. We get a nice shot into the E4. We're trying to... Oh, we get lucky there. That was dangerous. What we just did there is not recommended. That was very dangerous what we did. We sat and waited for our reload in front of the E4, and he could have caught us at any point with that big 850 Alpha gun. Now, unfortunately, we sort of snapped the shot there into his upper plate and bounced. And fortunately enough for us, he actually tries to... He was so focused on us. Unfortunately enough for us, he actually hits the dead T30 in front of us, that we're using that wreck to our advantage. Now we know there's a heavy tank going into our base. It's an IS-3. Oh, it's a very stock IS-3 at that. And we're just going to use the bushes, concealment, and the very good gun handling and DPM to just trash this poor guy. And hopefully finish him off as long as he don't get behind any cover. And we finish him off, and we're up to 6.something damage. Just like that. 4 minutes in. And there's still 3 tanks left in the artillery. But we know where they're going to be. They're all going to be in the base. And like I say, you just want to be looking at the Centax and going, look how quick the gun fires. Look how accurate it is. It is beautiful. And, oh my goodness me, that guy got ammo racked. That poor guy. But yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic tank. It's a great tank. It's a great way to end the line. And it's definitely most worth grinding down to pick it up. And I mean, it's on track at the minute for another couple of days. You definitely want to start grinding. You want to be picking up these tanks on discount. It's a wonderful tank and a wonderful line. And it's one that I thoroughly enjoyed back in the day when I played through it. I mean, they used to be slower. Like, the Centurions used to go at like 40 kilometers an hour, but when they buffed it to like 50 odd, I mean, they buffed it to 50 odd when the Centax came out. And it was definitely more enjoyable to play. Like I said, I do enjoy the Centax a hell of a lot. What's the one I prefer the most out of the Centax or the FV4202? It's a hard choice, really, because the FV4202 goes that little bit slower, but it has the same gun handling. Instead of heat, it has HESH. So, yeah, it's a hard choice between the two. The Centax is definitely one of my old favourites, so I'll always have a soft spot for it, rose tinted glasses and all that. But it's really your choice what you want out of it. And we get a nice... we actually finish off that T95E6 there, which is nice, and we pushed our damage up to 8.5k, which is absolutely fantastic. And now there's just the artillery left, but unfortunately we don't get any damage into him, and we finish that game in the Centurion Action 10 with 8.5k damage. and 1,000 assisted. So it's a victory. It's not an epic victory for some reason. I don't know what the difference is between victory and epic victory, but there we go. But with that finish of the T-95V6 as well, we got Top Gun. So we finished that Ace Tanker, Sniper, High Caliber, Top Gun with the 8.5k damage, and I have 3 marked this tank. It's one of the lines that I've done all of them, which is nice. 1800 odd base, 1,000 assists and 6 kills. Yeah, and a great game for the Centurion Action 10, and it's definitely worth grinding towards. It's a fantastic line of tanks, and you definitely want to go for it. So if there's any other lines you want to see for this sort of on-track series, please tell me. The Cromwell is one that I'm definitely working on, and if there's any more, I will try and get them to you. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!